So applying to grad school, I'll give you some specifics about Trent, but what I'm telling you is probably applicable to most schools. Our application deadline is February 1st. That's for both professional and research-based master's programs. And at Trent, you would apply through the trentu.ca/gradstudies web link. We use, as part of the application process, we use the UAC portal. You would all have used that when you applied to Trent in the undergrad degree. Some schools will use UAC, some will use a customized application software. So you can look, it'll be easy to find depending on whether you're coming to Trent or some other school. You can find the application procedure there. If you're looking to apply to a grad program in the sciences, and again, this just isn't Trent, this is everywhere, you need to identify, if it's a research-based program, you need to identify a supervisor, someone who will agree to supervise you during your degree. This is really important, and you won't get into grad studies until into the master's program until you've identified a supervisor. In the sciences, because remember I told you you're going to get funded for part of will help support you. Part of that support comes from your research supervisor. So unless someone agrees to supervise you, the funding isn't available. It's important to try and do this as soon as possible if you're looking to do a research-based master's. In other programs, you should probably email the program itself to find out whether or not you need to identify a supervisor up front, or whether it's okay to whether you can apply without a supervisor and one will be matched up with you later. So different programs do it in different ways. But certainly for the sciences, it's important that you identify a faculty supervisor. And the best way to do that is to talk to faculty, talk to your TAs who are grad students now. They can tell you a little bit about the program, about people, about different faculty. Talk to program directors. They also know, who might be willing to supervise students. When you're trying to identify a faculty supervisor, I'll give you a few tips as to how to maybe approach this. The way not to approach it is to grab a couple of keywords off the website and then just send out an email. Because faculty get a lot of requests for supervision to take on master's or PhD students. And so they're looking for people that are interested in the work that they're doing. So I would say if you're looking to contact a faculty member to be a potential supervisor, I would say no matter what area you're looking at, it's worth doing a little bit of research on what they do, maybe reading some of the work that they do, and customize your letter to them to say, hey, I was reading this paper, I'm really kind of interested in this area which aligns with the work I've been doing in my undergraduate degree. I'd be really interested in continuing to explore that if you have opportunities in your lab or under your supervision, if that's in the arts. So it doesn't need to be an essay, but 3 or 4 sentences that show that you've kind of taken a look and done a little bit of research on your own and thought about this, and you're not just blanket emailing the entire program to find a supervisor. Offer to send them a CV or resume and an official transcript so they can see what types of grades you have. And certainly if you have really strong grades, it's worth highlighting your average when you send an email out to a faculty member because they can judge based on that average whether you might be competitive for, say, scholarships or things like that, and that's important as well as faculty members kind of evaluate whether to take on students or not. So these are just some tips on how to perhaps approach a potential supervisor. Again, my first, whether it's at Trent or another school, would be to reach out to the program itself and find out whether or not you need to identify a supervisor, either before or during the application process. Or in some cases, supervisors will be matched up with you through the application process. So understanding what is actually required of you in a research-based program is important. So if you're applying again to most grad schools in Ontario, you'll need somewhere around a B+ average in the last 2 years of your full-time study. So for most of you pursuing a traditional undergraduate degree, that means your 3rd and 4th year marks, you need to have a 77% average. Some programs may have higher entrance averages. For us, you can see that information in the view book. We do require a 4-year bachelor's degree, and if you're deciding to pursue a PhD, you need to have a master's degree. At Trent, we have a $100 application fee if you're doing a research-based grad program, and if it's a professional program, the fee is $125 to apply. Now, as you apply to grad studies or grad school, and again, this is Trent, but this is elsewhere, there may be a variety of other documents that are required as part of the application process. So you may be required to submit unofficial transcripts. Eventually, if you're accepted, you'll need to provide official transcripts. And the transcripts must be from all post-secondary institutions. So for example, if you started your degree, you did 2 years at Fleming College, then you transferred to Trent and did your final 2 years at Trent, you would need to provide both your Fleming and your Trent transcripts as part of the application process. You'll need 2 letters of reference. These other components vary depending on the program, so when you go into the website, you should be able to find what requirements, but some will require a plan of study, maybe a personal statement, a writing sample, for example. We also require proof of citizenship and proof of English language proficiency, but again, individual programs may have slightly different requirements, but this is a list of most of what's required, but not all programs will require all of this.